This is AndyTube. In this video I'm going to be working on the needle bar of the Singer Model 221 Featherweight. And in the video I'm going to remove the bar and reinstall the bar and set the bar to the correct height according to the Singer specifications. The main parts of the needle bar are this needle bar bushing, a clamping screw, the needle bar itself here, and then there is the needle clamp that holds the needle, and in that needle clamp is a set screw that fastens the needle clamp onto the bar. Now the Singer service manual says to remove this set screw and clamp first, but I usually loosen the clamping screw because this does have to come out the top of the machine. You know, there's a hole right up here for it to slide up out of. But what I have found is a lot of times, even you loosen the clamping screw or take it all the way out, the needle bar can be stuck in the clamp itself, and it won't kind of budge. So you often need to put some penetrating oil or alcohol or some kind of cleaner on the clamping screw and the clamp to kind of break the needle bar free, because oil just settles in there over the years and dries, and it hardens in there. Now sometimes you have to do the same thing on the clamp and this set screw, and you often need to clean this lower half of the needle bar, and sometimes even the upper half, to get it through the clamp and up through this bushing. Okay, but I do this one first because I'll use the needle clamp and thumb screw sometimes to help loosen this. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to loosen this clamping screw right here. And as a matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and take it out just to show it to you. And then I'm going to hold the needle clamp. I'll put the, oh look, this is loose. Okay, so it's not going to be a problem. But if the needle bar at this point doesn't want to budge up and down, here you see some of the dried up stuff on the marks here, but if it doesn't want to move, sometimes it just won't budge. I find it helpful to still have the clamp on here, so I can kind of take it and twist it sideways, rather than trying to force it up and down, kind of break it free in that clamp by twisting it like that. And you can put, like I said, cleaner or alcohol or penetrating oil or something in there to help get it loosened. Okay, here you see some more of the old dried up stuff there. So since this one is okay, it's going to move somewhat, I'm going to go ahead and take off this needle clamp, and do that by starting with the clamping screw. And when I do this, I like to have the needle bar raised up pretty close to the lower bushing here. Rather than having it down here, if I have to push real hard with the screwdriver and, you know, force that screw loose, I don't want to be bending the needle bar. So I like to have it up close to the bushing to kind of give it a little support. And it's also turns to the left to loosen. And again, I'm going to go ahead and take it out to show you this little tiny flat kind of set screw. It's got a little kind of point on the end of it, and we'll see where that little point goes into a hole on the needle bar. Now we're going to want to pull this clamp off, and it can be the same thing. It can be stuck on there pretty good. So we'll just loosen the thumb screw to get any part of it out of the needle bar, and just wiggle it down, and a little piece fell out. So it must have a jib in there. But here is the needle clamp and the thumb screw. And then let's see what this little guy is. Yeah, I think it is a jib. It helps the needle line up here, this little arm that sticks out, and from the shiny spot on the back of here, I would say that's what the thumb screw is pushing on. So this whole thing would push into the needle and press it in towards the set screw. So it's going to slide up from the bottom. It's going to slide up from the bottom here and go inside. We'll look closer at this when we put it back together. And like a little hockey puck with a curve sticking on it. It's going to be fun to get back together, isn't it? So I think it's going to end up like that, in that little corner, so you can put your needle up in there, and then the thumb screw is going to press it into the set screw here and into the needle clamp. Okay. Now sometimes, as I said, this can be built up, and the tolerances are close on these clamping screws. Let's see if we can just slide it out. Yeah, see, it doesn't. All this stuff right here now is hesitating when it gets to the bushing. So very close tolerances. That all went through my clamp, but as it gets up here to the bushing now, it doesn't want to keep going. So I'm going to kind of clean some of that off, just so I can get the needle bar out. And I think I'll just take a little pad and put some alcohol on it. You could use a crud cutter. Any cleaner that you use, I would say just be sure that you protect your finish, the paint finish on your machine. You don't want to be dripping it all over. So I'll put the needle bar down and just kind of scrub that top part. See if I can get most of that gunk off, and then I'll slide it up some more, and that looks good. I'm going to slide it back down, and I'll clean the bottom area of this. That looks good. Now I'll try and just push it on up out the top. Let's see if I line it back up. Oh, you know what? There's a bunch of gunk coming out the top of the bushing. There we go. Now it's coming up. All right. There. So we can see the gunk that was in the bushing up there, which is a good reminder. I'm going to clean these parts, but I've got to figure out to run a brush or something through that bushing. Let's take a closer look down here too. Let me grab an old sewing needle because I see this little track looks like it's full of gunk also. Yeah, some of it's pretty hardened up in there. Can you see all that? There's like a little post in there so that when you put the needle in, it stops. That's your stop, like. So you won't be able to get that out because it's a steel pin like in there. It's made to be there. But this just looks like old dried up oil and grunge and lint is what I'm seeing in here. So, good thing we'll take it out and clean it. And let me just run one of these in here for the heck of it. Just a little bit. Yeah, so we'll put some crud cutter on all these parts and I'll soak them a while and scrub them up. Since I put a little bit of alcohol up here, see if I can get this in focus. Can you see those two black bands at the top? Those are the timing marks. Okay, so we'll be using that after we put it in to set the height. Yeah. Okay, so I've got all my parts here in my little mag dish, and I'm going to go clean them with the crud cutter. I'll let them soak for a while in a baggie and work on that. And maybe while I'm doing that, I'll come back and we'll figure a way to clean out the bushing a little bit. But it's a cute little needle bar, isn't it? Let me push this back for now. It's a cute little needle bar. I mean, you know, it's kind of a little machine. So here's a needle bar from a Rocketeer 500 to give you an idea of needle bar size. Right? And then here's the circumference comparison. It's a little bit bigger around, huh? A little heavier duty for the 500A Rocketeer. Feels pretty lightweight in comparison. I'm not sure how far that. Let me get a little barbecue stick here. We'll go in and check the depth. Wow, so it's hollow all the way down to the end of that stick. So kind of like the presser bar, about the last ½ inch or so was the solid steel that was cut into, and the grooves and so forth put in there. There's the little hole for the set screw, I believe. Okay, so let me get these parts soaking and then we'll come back and clean the bushing, and maybe I'll pull this connecting link out. This goes in the take-up lever. There's an arm that comes out called the needle bar connecting link, and might as well show you a good shot of that while we're here. I'll put that back in there, and the bushing is held in place by a set screw up here. Okay, I'll be back. All right, I've turned the hand wheel now so that my needle bar connecting link is down at the bottom. I want to, well, maybe I'll make it a little bit less than to the bottom. I want to make a little space in here because I'm going to stuff my dirtiest old oil rag in here, because I think I'm just going to use alcohol in here with one of my detail brushes. And then that way I can soak up what comes out of here while protecting the other parts of the machine. And I'm just going to take my, this is 50% alcohol. My wife rated my 91% when this whole COVID virus thing started. But this should be enough to you know, get this muck off of here. So I'll just stick it up in there and run it up and down a little bit, and I'll stick it in. That brush is long enough actually that the bristles go all the way. So there's a little loop up. It's a little loop way up here at the top, so I'm just going to twist it around to try and get some scrubbing motion. I'll twist it down in there, and then I'll pull it up and down. It's getting easier now, so it must be cleaning something. We'll hope, right? Get some muck out of there. Let me grab, I have 10 of these brushes, so let me grab another one. Okay. A little alcohol. I don't know what alcohol will do to this paint. I can't imagine it hurts it, but I'm not familiar with these black finish machines. The only one I ever did before this was Cute, the Model 99. So that feels like it's a pretty good scrub in there. Q-tip down, kind of run it down in there. Now the other thing I have done is cut strips of like a t-shirt or an old oil rag and soaked it in a cleaner and stuffed it down in there with a barbecue stick, and then, you know, kind of shoe shined it up and forth, back up and down in there to clean out bushings, and that has worked pretty well for me in the past. I think that's good. I like it. I feel my bushing is nice and clean now and ready. I guess since I'm still soaking some parts in there, what I'll do is I'll put some oil on a swab, and I'll swab a little bit of oil down in there. I usually oil the needle bar and stuff before I slide it in there, but I'll just go ahead and just put some oil in there. Kind of get that started. And then in the connecting link too. And I'm going to turn this link up and try and get it up over to the side somewhere a little bit. How about over here? Because I want to kind of clean this lower bushing out too. So just go ahead and put my rag down here on the bottom and get some alcohol on my detail brush and rub that around in there too. Get any of the old gunk out. Who knows if that needle bar's ever even been out of the connecting link. I think it must have, because it was not glued in there. Of course, I've been putting fresh oil every 12 hours for like 3 days on everything to get the machine moving. So, you know, maybe that is why it came out of the clamp pretty good. But you see, it still wouldn't, it still didn't want to pass up through the bushing. Just get some oil on this lower bushing. Ta-da! Okay, I've got that area pretty clean here. You notice that I took the pressure bar system back out after I showed you how to take it out and put it in. I took it out because I'm still going to have to clean the inside here. I want to do it with crud cutter, but I can't take the machine in the shower and do it, I don't think, with this paint, this black stuff, which I see a lot of it is worn off anyway. So, but I just want to get what I can in there. Okay, I'm going to go scrub up my parts and check them out and dry them off, and then we'll put the needle bar back in and we'll set it to the height. Okay, I have all my clean parts now, and before I put it up on the machine, I wanted to show you this again now that it's clean. You see that silver dot there? That's kind of the pin that's still in there. That's the needle stop. Okay, and when I stuck my brush inside to clean, it actually went all the way down to that needle stop. So that's pretty much hollow all the way through there. And I have to get this jib back on there. I call it the needle clamp jib, I guess. And so I'm just going to kind of do that part here, hoping that you can see it better. And then I'll put the bar on the machine and put the needle clamp on again. But you know, this has to go through 2 bushings, so you have to put the clamp on after it's in the machine. But if you take a look at the clamp here, I've partially screwed the little thumb screw back in a little bit just so you can see it. But the side that goes down, if you'll see this kind of an oval shape here, and on what's going to be the bottom edge towards the thumb screw, it's flattened out right there, and I'm sure hoping that you can see that. And see the other side, it's just the clean oval. Okay, so the when you put it on, this oval with the flat spot like cut into the oval, that's going to be on the bottom. Okay, but I'm going to set it like this so I can show you how to set this jib in when it's on the machine. That little hockey puck part is going to go inside the clamp with the little indentation towards the front, like this. Okay. Well, actually, like. No, I got that backwards. That little indentation has to go to the thumb screw side, so that the little guide arm will be pointed towards the set screw end. Okay, so it's going to sit on the needle bar like that, and you're going to put this up in there. Now I'm going to turn it like that so it'll sit in there for a moment to show you how it has to be. Okay, and then this is going to slide up onto the needle bar, and here you have the side of the needle bar that's smooth except for the little hole where the set screw pokes into. So this side with all these cutouts is the one that goes towards the needle clamp side, the thumb screw side of the needle clamp. Oops. Yeah, see, I pushed out the little jib. Let me try it again here. It's tricky to do when it's on the machine. Believe me, you'll see me. See if I can try this again here. There we go. There, I had it turned wrong. So in the hole for the set screw now, I see that little hole drilled into the bottom of the needle bar. Okay, and then I would tighten this into the needle bar, so now it stays. Okay, and then I'll be putting this little set screw that came out looking a lot better after cleaning than when it came out of the needle clamp. That will go in there to permanently hold the needle clamp onto the bar. Okay, I hope that was a pretty good explanation there. So I'm going to loosen this up again and slide it off, and the jib's going to drop out because I've got to slide this now in through the two bushings. I'll put these parts off to the side a little bit here. Okay, we'll start the installation of the needle bar by sliding it, the needle bar into place. And remember, this the little hole in the smooth side of the needle bar will face you here at the end. And I didn't really mention, but that jib goes up in the needle bar clamp, and it ends up sitting in this space for it right there. But if you put that in place, you can't get the needle clamp on over it. Of course, that would be too easy, right? So if we slide this in, we'll get it through the upper bushing, and then your needle bar connecting link, you have to move around to get it in line with the bushing, and then let it go on through to the bottom. Okay, and then I think I'm going to start putting that clamping screw in and partially tightening it, because when I put the other parts on, it helps if this isn't moving around all over the place. You know, so I get a little resistance to it moving around. Doesn't have to be too tight, but I want it just snug enough so it doesn't easily slide. Yeah, that's not sliding at all. So okay, we'll try that. But at this point, the easiest way I have found to do this, these tricky little jib parts and everything, is to stand the machine up on the hand wheel end so that it puts the needle bar horizontal, like when I was demonstrating how it has to go in there. And then I'm going to turn the hand wheel some more and get the needle bar up higher into the bushing, so I've got a little does that look pretty good? So I got a little room to play with there. Now I want to remind you that the bottom part the part that faces down has this little corner cut out of the oval. Okay, so it's going to sit like that, and then I'm going to put the jib in there so that the little indentation on the round part of the jib faces, in this case, down, or basically faces the thumb screw. And I want to maneuver it a little bit so it sits flat, kind of in a low spot inside the needle clamp. Okay, and then hopefully we can just slide it right on like when I did the demonstration. Yay, there, like that. So then if you push up on the bottom here, you can tighten the thumb screw a little bit, and then that is going to prevent it. Now it won't slide off. Okay, so yeah, that was easy. Before, when I've tried to put all that on when the needle bars and the machine sitting like this, it's just too many little fiddly things there to fool with. But now that we have that in, let me get this up a little to give you a little bit better angle there. I'm going to go ahead and put in that set screw for the needle clamp. And now that it's clean, I think maybe you can see better that little button or nub that sticks out, and that's what goes in that hole of the needle bar. So there's no doubt about how high the needle clamp sits on the needle bar or anything. You tighten it, it goes right in that hole. And then this can be firmly tightened because we're all done with that assembly. Okay. And then now we're going to be looking at setting the height. That's really kind of the installation of it. I wonder if maybe it'll help to leave that back propped up a little bit. Now, to set the height, you want to turn the hand wheel towards the front of the machine, and you want to get the needle bar, or in this case the clamp, to the lowest point it'll go. Okay, so I've got my needle bar way too low. It's already come out of the upper bushing. So let me just rotate a little bit for a better view, but we've got our two timing marks up here on the top. And the top timing mark, or the upper timing mark, is what you use to set the height of the needle bar. And the way you set it is with the needle bar or the clamp here at the lowest spot, dead low. That little timing mark is way up here, about to disappear in the bushing. So I've got to loosen this clamp a little bit so I can move this. Now, part of that, when you're setting the height, is you also have to set the position of the bar so that it faces right to the front. You don't want it turned one way or the other, because that'll turn the eye of your needle away from the hook when the hook's coming by. So you can turn that thumb screw up and get it positioned so you can't see it. You can look at the sides of the needle clamp. You can look at the set screw to see if you want to see it dead on looking from the end of the machine, and that helps you get it in the right position so it won't be turned. So whatever works for you, lining it up, okay? But let's get up here and get the height as close as we can. So I need to move this bar up. I still have that clamp screw a little bit tight. It's not moving as easy as I want. So let me just loosen it a little more and get up here. And as best as I can see, you got to kind of dip your head down. You got to look. Sometimes you can do this with the machine standing up on the hand wheel, like I had it before, and it gives you a pretty good view, you know. But you want to get up where that top timing mark is, right up at the bottom of the bushing. You got to be able to see the whole timing mark, but you don't want a lot of silver bar showing between the, you know, like maybe that, at like a 32nd of an inch or so. You want to wiggle that bar up so the line is, timing mark's very close to the bottom of the bushing, okay? And we want to be sure that our needle bar or the clamp is dead bottomed out, just straight down. We've got our height, looks pretty good. Let's see about lining it up here. Yeah, I'm a little bit crooked. So let me come back like that. Now that looks, oh, right about there, that looks good to me. And we'll check my height up there. Yeah, that little wiggling dropped it down a tiny bit. The upper timing mark looks good up against the bushing. It looks like it's squared with the front. So all I need to do is finish tightening that clamping screw to finish this installation. Nice and tight. As if your needle bar slips, sometimes even a little amount, you start skipping stitches. Alright. So, Double check that I'm straight. Double check I'm at the bottom. Look at the clearance down here. It's very low, isn't it? The clamp almost hits this bottom of the body here. But when it's clearly bottomed out at the lowest spot, my timing mark is right up there, snug against the bushing. So I'm done. I've removed it, cleaned it, replaced it, and set the height and lined it up. And I'll tell you, every sewist, every person who sews, especially with a vintage machine, they love having that clean needle bar. Wow. You know, that needle bar does a lot of work. Of course, the whole machine does, you know, but having it clean and smooth is very nice. Of course, then you would thread it up and put a bobbin in, and then, you know, hold your needle thread while you turn the hand wheel and have your needle go down and pick up the bobbin thread. You know, if you've done this work and you can't even pick up the bobbin thread, you've got something something wrong. There we go. The pretty little needle bar of Lala. Thanks for tuning in, and I appreciate you watching. I hope you're getting some value out of the videos, even if it's just entertainment. And next video is going to be on this take-up lever linkage. There's something weird here. This screw is like loose, and on the other machines it's a hinge stud that goes into the machine, and then someplace up here or in the back is a set screw to hold it in. And when I first got it turning from being oiled so much, when I would turn the hand wheel, it was making some weird sounds up here. Look at this. And this screw was so loose here that stuff was hitting and stuff. I said, oh, the screw, this is loose. So I just took and, you know, look how loose that is. So it usually just goes in. I turned it a little bit, and oh, it snugged up, and then I looked all over for a set screw, and there isn't. So I said, oh, it's a hinge screw. It's really not a hinge stud. It's a screw. It goes in, and then, you know, like a hinge screw, you usually tighten all the way. Because this motion wants to undo the screw, right? It wants to turn it backwards. Watch. Uh-oh, look, now it's so tight. Let me oh, man, it's hard to turn here. But did you see that rotate backwards? See how? So when it starts doing this stroke, it starts undoing the screw. Look at that. So I said, well, no wonder that screw's loose. And I looked again for a set screw, but then when I started digging around in the parts diagram, oh, there's a washer, and the washer's missing. So to get this screw tight, it's like being over tightened because there's no washer in there. So a washer's on the way, and when we get it, I have to decide how to work on it. But I hope you'll tune in and take a look at it. Okay, please be safe, whether you stay at home or you're going to work or you're out socializing. Just be common sense and safe. And a lot of strange news, so just try and be good to people, right? Okay, see you next time.